Lestari. My ID number 2021 0508 6076. I'm here to explain what poetry is and how to sell it. Poetry is a form of literary work that has art of language which contain aesthetic with contain aesthetic meaning. It commonly written, read, and listened. Kind language in poetry more intensely than ordinary language. A poetry might be different interpretation of each reader about writer means. To make a perception of a poetry, the reader must be understand some imagery of poetry. It can earn or seen of quality and usually of a word used in poetry, a word commonly meaning, so a reader must be understand and know the word. How does poetry different from the other texts? Because poetry is a form of literary work that is bound by rhythm, rhyme, and good composition and lines whose language looks beautiful and full of meaning. Kinds of poetry. There are three kinds of poetry as follows. Poems. The first, poems. A each partakes of both speech and song, usually rhythmical, metaphysical. Ballads. Poems that tell a story. Epic, narrative poem containing details of heroic deeds and even significant to a culture national. Intrinsic element. The first, rhyme. Rhyme is a sound that arises from the pronunciation of letters or words found in an array or stanza. Rhyme can be a repetition of sound. Rhyme a or ab or a free sound without a pattern. The second, rhyme is the alternation of high and low, long and short, loud and soft, and utterance sound. Sounds is aesthetic. It is an element of poetry to get beauty and expressive power. In addition to decoration in poetry, sound also has an even more important task, namely to deepen speech, create feelings, and create clear imagery, create a special atmosphere, and so on. Imagery. Imagery is sense of language experience as a representation of some meaning, so the reader can be imagined of the poetry based on the writer mean. figurative language. The reason are a number of usage figurative language in poetry, effectiveness of language, avert imaginative pleasure, bringing additional imagery of speech into verses, more sensuous, adding emotional intensive of speech to otherwise merely information and conveying attitude. And a way to say much in brief compass. Metaphor is a direct analogy of an object. Example, he is sun. Smiley, indirect smiley. Example, she likes a beautiful moon. Personification, giving attributes of human being to an animal, object, or an idea. Example, swaying grass. Synecdoche, use of part for wool. Metonymy, use of something related for the thing actually. What is it about love's philosophy? Poem is a romantic, love's playful argument, putting forward his case for the union of love, natural imagery, and strong rhyme appeal to the reader's sense, presenting this relationship as something incarnate, simple, and inevitable. Philosophy here means an argument or a way of thinking. I will read a poem, Love's Philosophy by Percy B.C. Shelley. The fountains mingle with the river, and the river with the ocean. The winds of heaven mix forever with a sweet emotion. Nothing in the world is single. All things by a love divine, in another's being mingle. Why not I with thine? See the mountains kiss high heaven, and the waves clasp one another. No sister flower would be forgiven if it disdained its brother. And the sunlight clasps the earth, and the moon beams kiss the sea. What is all this sweet work worth, if thou kiss not me? Overview. The first stanza begins with the description of the natural world mixing with itself and possess this as a good example for the poet and their beloved. This is addressed by the tender and slightly archaic T. What is painted is a picture of an airy, nature-loving poet describing the scene in front of him and his fellow worker. He then draws a lesson from it, turning to speak to his silent beloved. In the second stanza of Love's Philosophy, this address is intensified. The poet instructs of reader in the position of the beloved to look around and see the mountains. Kiss had given genial, playful invitation of a kiss is an easier finish that the hope to mingle in each other's being. A rhetorical question at the end of each stanza begs a response of some sort. Certainly, the poet hopes a wordless one. Romantic poetry. Our modern use of the word romantic relates to an idealist sort of love, more specifically to the state of being in love, characterized by powerful, irresistible emotions, giving the idealization of a beloved and the prioritization of the relationship above everything else. However, the poetry of the Romantic poets was not just restricted to describing love. William Wordsworth defined poetry as the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. In this preface to the lyric ballads, one common theme is that experience were understood by Romantic poets, though their effects on personal emotions. This is partly where our modern romantic love idea comes from. However, poetry by Wordsworth, Shelley, and Coleridge often shared other hallmark characteristics. For example, the use of natural imagery and simple verses form, as this poem by Shelley includes all of this. It is a good example of a romantic poem. Form and structure. Love's Philosophy has a tragic matter, a pattern of stressed then unstressed syllables with 4 beats in the first 3 lines of each quatrain and 3 in the 4. The 2 stanzas are each a pair of alternately rhymed quatrains rhyming A B A B C D C D. There is strong relationship with the archetypal ballads matter used by many romantic poets. The tragic matter also gives the poem a slightly heavy, dreamy feel when read aloud, particularly since 10 of the 16 lines are full tragic, dishabic, dishabic rhymes like ocean or emotion are even or forgiven. Several lines begin with an extra unbeat, properly colored and analytic shamble as is extends the normal length of a line. This like irregularity helps the poem feel spontaneous despite the cleverness of its composition. Language. The natural imagery in this poem is relatively simplistic and uncomplicated. Fountains, rivers, and oceans are all unmodified and free from descriptive clutter. The winds of heaven and high heaven can scarcely be called richly descriptive. Moonbeams, mountains, and the sea are also unmodified. I think there is a nonsense about this sort of language. Some language fitting the scene of two lovers on a hilltop. He needn't describe what we can see with our own eyes after all. This innocence continues in the description of a sister flower and its brother. The relationship the poet imagines between flowers is fraternal and childish. So the word disdain feel out of place as the idea of loveness between siblings. Then you also reinforces this. In Shelley's day, T and two were still in use. Repetitive use of claps describing how the waves hold one another and how the immaterial light of the sun seems to touch the earth bring this very physical word to the fore. It certainly has a sensual, if not sexual, connotation, but its effect is rather more repetition to persuade rather than shock. After all, if everything in nature claps freely and if the elements around mix with one another so readily, even obeying the command of good, if unlike Shelley, his reader still believes in God's command to procreate, Then turning down the poet's request for a kiss is like disagreeing with the laws of nature and good, isn't